Hey, I'm Jax, and this is a vintage Sylvester costume from 1986. So let's start making it. Alright, so here's our pattern. Now we gotta go through and find all of Sylvester's parts, because that's the one we're making. So let's pull out all of the patterns, and we can get to figuring out what we got here. It's Looney Tunes time, let's go. You know what's also very Looney Tunes? This pattern, because I think you have to be one to actually understand it from the jump. Because the way that they set this up is very confusing. So the way that normal patterns work, or at least the most of the patterns that I've seen, is that each piece is separated into groups in the pattern. So sometimes they're labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, depending on how many pieces you can make from this pattern set. Or sometimes it's like ABC. Doesn't really matter, but this one, each individual piece has its own number. And then you have to go to the legend on the paper to see which pieces go to each individual costume. So this took me so much longer than I was expecting. Normally I just fly through this in like 20 minutes, just making sure everything's there. But this took me like 45 to understand what was going on. But I figured it out, eventually. Okay, so there's stuff in every single pattern. I'm gonna have to use the ledger to actually make sure I get everything. So let's get the tracing everything out. All right, so now let us trace out our pattern. Now, you may be thinking, why don't you just cut out the pattern? You shouldn't do that. You should trace it out. It keeps the pattern safe, and you can use it for longer if you just trace it out. It's better to do that, because that pattern paper is very fragile. So all we're doing is just tracing out all of the Sylvester part of the costume. Let's go. All right, here's our entire pattern. Now we gotta start cutting everything out, so let's do that. First I'm gonna cut out the mask, so let's get to doing that. So we're going to take each piece and cut it out on its specific fabric. I planned poorly, so I needed to run to the fabric wall and grab fabric for each individual thing. I wasn't really thinking straight because I was like, oh, it's Sylvester. He's just, you know, black and white. No, there's like a furry cheek and like a red nose. So I had to go grab those fabrics. I also have fuzzy black and white for like the main body. But we're not cutting that out yet because we're only doing the mask. So yeah. And if you're enjoying this video, be sure, you know, hit that like button. With like a Looney Tunes hammer or something. What's like, with like your claw, cause he's a cat. Yeah. All right, so here's everything cut out for the mask. Now we gotta get the sewing. So let's do that. Let's start sewing the mask. All right, let's go. So all we're doing first is we're gonna prep our two faces of the mask. And it's my favorite kind of mask to do in these videos because it's like an actual hood that you put over your head. I think those are more fun than like just the single face plate, like we did for Grumpy. If you haven't seen that video, you should go watch it. You should go watch that video if you haven't seen it. So we put on the eyeballs. I'm not gonna cut out the holes yet just to make sure like I put them in a good spot for me to be able to see. Then we're gonna sew the two halves of the face together. This diagram is horrifying. Then we're gonna add the little tuft of hair at the top. Then we're gonna prep the little ears. So we just sew around, flip them out, add a top stitch. Very common ear construction on this guy right here. Then we attach the ears to the back of the head. Sew up the back, not all the way down, so that way there's an opening so you can get it on and off your head. And then we're gonna combine the front and the back together. Then we're gonna start working on the facial features of the face mask. So first we're gonna work on the cheeks. Now, there was a big part of this project that I did not realize, or maybe I did and I just kind of forgot because I'm foolish and easily distracted. But they wanted you to put like stuffing into many parts of the costume, but I don't got stuffing. So instead of stuffing, I have paper scraps that I'm just putting into the costume. So whenever there's like, oh, add batting gear, no, I'm gonna put paper instead. So I'm gonna have a noisy costume. We finished putting together the cheeks and then we attach it to the mask. Then we work on like the snout. We sew it together, ruche the front so that way it's like nice and awesome cat looking. We stuff some more paper into the snout and then attach it onto the actual mask. After that, I'm gonna cut out eye holes. I'm gonna make them a little bit bigger. I think that's also why some of these costumes look horrifying, is because I make the eye holes a little bit bigger than they should be, but it's really hard to see if you don't make them that big. So I don't know. Boo. This thing is so funny. All these masks are so funny. I can actually breathe out of this one a little bit, but alright. Let's continue working on the main body. Alright, so here's our pattern for the jumpsuit. Now let's cut it out. Alright, now let's cut out the jumpsuit. We're doing the same thing like we did earlier in this video, but instead of cutting it out of many fabrics, we're only cutting it out of the black and the white. Yeah! So we're cutting out the front, the belly, the back, the sleeves, and the tail. And the tail's actually separated into two bits, where the top of the tail is white and the base of the tail is black, to get that awesome classic look of Sylvester. So here is the jumpsuit all cut out, so now let's get to sewing. Alright, now let's start sewing together the main body. Let's sew together the jumpsuit. So the first thing we're gonna do here is actually close up our front, not all the way though, so that way we can move on to our next step and add in that awesome belly piece. We attach that, then we're basically just sewing together a jumpsuit. That's the only like crazy special thing. First, I like to add in my zippers earlier because I think it's easier to do it now instead of when everything's put together. So we're just gonna sew together our zippers, then we're gonna put together our legs, our side seams, then we're gonna grab our sleeves, sew together our sleeves. After we get those sleeves in, we're gonna do our finishing, and now we're gonna add on the tail. So first we're gonna attach the tip of the tail to the base of the tail, and then we're gonna sew the tail together. Then I'm gonna stuff it with the paper again, and then we're gonna attach it onto the main body of the jumpsuit. And then that's the completed jumpsuit. And then we're gonna grab our mittens. I think the mittens are fun. They're not too difficult. All we gotta do is just sew together that side seam on the outside. Then we're gonna grab some bias tape, make a channel, and then we're gonna feed through some elastic so that way it has a nice like flared bottom type thing. After we feed through the elastic, we're gonna stitch them down so that way they stay together while we finish the actual seam. And then we gotta do that again because I got two hands, and that's the costume put together. So before we see me in the completed Sylvester costume from 1986, if you made it this far into the video and you haven't yet, how about you hit that subscribe button? I work really hard on these and I'd really appreciate it if you did that. All right, let's see the completed vintage Sylvester costume from 1986. All right, here's the completed Sylvester costume from 1986. Look at my tail. I got a tail. This thing is so funny. I think the mittens are probably the best part. I like them the best. They actually look fun and not like, because a lot of the gloves don't really like have a good feel to them, but these are fun. I really like these. Alrighty. You know what time it is? It's time to frolic. We'll go back inside. Alright, yeah, that's the end of the video. Let me... Okay. So, if you enjoyed this video, be sure, leave a like, subscribe, drop a comment, do all that fun stuff for the algorithm. Every Wednesday is Vintage Wednesday, and every Sunday is my challenge video. Last week was cowboy week, so I made a corset out of a saddle. That's the end of the video. That's all, folks. I think there's neighbors.